Hey everyone, and welcome to this explainer. Today, I'm basically stepping in as your personal behavioral coach. We are going to stage a totally judgment-free intervention into your morning routine. Look, if you've ever felt just utterly defeated before you've even poured that first cup of coffee, well, you are exactly in the right place. We're going to dive into some absolutely fascinating neuroscience today, visually decoding what is actually happening in your head the second you wake up. So get comfortable, go ahead and drop all that guilt you've been carrying, and let's get ready to literally rewire your morning.
So why does your body feel like concrete? Picture this. You know the feeling. You're sitting on the edge of your bed, or, maybe you've made it as far as the couch, but you're just staring blankly at the wall. You have this to-do list that is a mile long. You know exactly what you need to get done, and you genuinely want to start moving, but your body literally feels like it's made of solid, unmoving concrete. And what do we inevitably do? We reach for that heavy, glowing smartphone and we start scrolling. Almost instantly, we fall right into this awful shame loop, telling ourselves we're already failing the day. We slap the label lazy right on our own foreheads.
Now, this beautifully illustrates our core misunderstanding. You probably think you have this deep character flaw, right? That dark cloud of just being, lazy. But the scientific reality? You are not lazy. You're simply experiencing a biological software error. Imagine a giant warning icon just flashing in your brain's memory bank. Your lack of momentum in the morning isn't some huge lack of willpower. It is literally a glitch in the code you're running first thing in the morning. And you know the absolute best part about a software glitch? We can patch it, we can fix it together.
Okay, let's dive into this, because this is where the science gets incredibly empowering. To fix the glitch, we really need to understand what's called the Cortisol Awakening Response. Now, I know cortisol usually gets a really bad rap as this terrible stress hormone, but in the morning, it is your absolute best friend. Think of your brain upon waking up like a high-powered computer that's just booting up. Your mental RAM is perfectly clear. Your whole system is pristine. When you immediately reach for your phone and start scrolling through social media or the news, you are taking that beautifully clear, freshly booted RAM and handing it straight over to a smartphone algorithm. It is the biological equivalent of booting up a brand new computer and immediately downloading malware, usually in the form of cat videos and political arguments. You're literally hijacking your own startup sequence.
Time is of the essence here, too. Tracking this cortisol awakening response minute by minute shows us exactly what's at stake. At minute 1, you wake up. Over the next half hour leading up to minute 30, your cortisol levels naturally spike. And this isn't panic. This is your body generating the natural chemical momentum you need to actually conquer the day. By minute 60, your brain is optimally primed. It's highly alert, focused, and ready to execute. So the really crucial point here is this: that very first hour is a biological golden window. When you spend those first 60 minutes paralyzed by a screen, you're just letting all that natural chemical momentum bleed out into the digital void.
So how do we actually reclaim that window? We execute a totally new blueprint. Here is our neuroscience-backed 5-step plan. Step 1, break the dopamine default loop. Step 2, establish a 90-minute sanctuary. Step 3, the morning pages cache clear. Step 4, Micro-Novelty Architecture. And Step 5, environmental pre-programming. Let's jump into them. Step 1 is rewiring the dopamine default loop. See, your brain is a highly efficient prediction machine. Over months, or maybe even years, it has learned that waking up equals reaching for the phone for a really quick, effortless hit of dopamine. It's become an ingrained default instinct. To break a default loop like that, you can't just rely on sheer willpower. You have to actively interrupt the physical reflex. That means you literally have to place your phone across the room or even in another room entirely so that the automatic reach and grab motion is completely broken. You have to force your brain to pause for a second and realize, oh right, the phone isn't actually an extension of my arm. Step 2 is creating your 90-minute sanctuary. And I really want you to notice that word, sanctuary. It implies fierce protection. You must fiercely protect the first 90 minutes of your day from any external inputs. No emails, no news, definitely no social media algorithms telling you what to care about or what to be angry at before you've even had breakfast. You are letting your biological code, that cortisol awakening response we just talked about, boot up properly. You are guarding that pristine mental RAM so you can actually direct it towards your own goals, not someone else's agenda.
Moving right along, Step 3 is the morning pages cache clear. Sometimes that heavy, concrete feeling in your body happens because your brain's RAM is just completely overloaded with leftover anxieties, weird dreams, or that chaotic to-do list from yesterday. You need to clear the cache. The tool for this is brilliantly simple: a physical notebook and a pen. Not an app, guys, a physical book. You sit down and you simply transfer your thoughts to paper. It doesn't have to be poetry, honestly, it can be absolute gibberish. Even if you literally just write "I need coffee" 20 times, the physical act of writing moves the processing from your working memory right onto the page. It clears your mental RAM, and that significantly eliminates the friction keeping you paralyzed on that couch.
Step 4 sounds a little complex, but I promise it's incredibly intuitive. Micro-Novelty Architecture. Your brain actually thrives on slight sensory changes to wake itself up. If you wake up, look at a glowing rectangle in a dark room, and stay huddled under the exact same covers, your brain literally thinks it's still nighttime. You need to architect small, healthy sensory changes. The easiest, most powerful everyday analogy for this: just walk over to a window and let broad, direct sunlight hit your face. That sudden shift in light and temperature is a massive micro-novelty. It acts as a hard-coded signal to your biology that says, hey, the day has started, let's activate the system.
And step 5 is environmental pre-programming. Remember that mile-long to-do list that always makes you feel so paralyzed? We're going to eliminate that the night before. You cannot wake up to chaos and just magically expect to feel motivated. Instead, you pre-program your environment. This means laying out a structured calendar visually. It means writing down just 3 simple floating checkmark tasks to accomplish first thing in the morning. That way, when you wake up, you aren't making stressful decisions. Instead, it's like a breath of fresh air. You're just following the super easy, frictionless execution plan that your past self lovingly laid out for you. You completely replace the chaotic infinity of the scroll with 3 simple physical tasks.
And all of this brings us to what is arguably the most crucial part of our intervention today. You aren't just someone trying to stop scrolling. You are someone whose real life is too engaging to ignore. This right here, this is an identity update. If you just define yourself as a procrastinator who's trying to stop, well, you're fighting a losing battle of willpower. But when you implement these 5 steps, your spine straightens up, you take back your power, you essentially put a crown on your own head. You become a person who simply doesn't have time for the digital void because the real physical world you've architected for yourself is just far too interesting.
So I want to leave you staring at this final, rather provocative thought. Every single morning, the moment you open your eyes, your brain is a perfectly blank canvas. The cortisol is naturally rising, the RAM is completely, beautifully clear, and you are the one holding the pen. So my question to you today as your coach is this: what code will you write tomorrow? Are you going to download the malware of the endless scroll, or will you execute the blueprint of your own engaging life? The choice is entirely yours. Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer, and I will see you next time.